right. What's up, everybody on the stream? Hello. Hello, hello, hello. That's right. It is Philadelphia Flyers hockey. It's more Metro Division matinee matchup hockey action today as the Flyers turn around quick. Played yesterday at 3 o'clock, 2-1 loss against the Rangers. Right back at it today for the second of the matinee weekend games against, this time, the Pittsburgh Penguins. There he is, Brian Smith, Jason Martinez. Smitty turning it around quick after what was a very emotional, very detailed and diligent game yesterday. Not going to be an easy task, but it's the one you got.
Yeah, it's not an easy task, but I think these guys are going to arrive in ill humor today. I'll tell you that much. I don't think the Flyers are happy at all with not that they're irritated about the way they played or anything like that, but they're not happy with the outcome yesterday against the New York Rangers. I'm sure they think they deserved a better fate than what they got. So it's one of those situations, I think, for the Penguins where they're going to have an upset team coming at them from the other side, and I think that's a good thing for Flyers fans, because Philadelphia, again, coming into this one thinking they should have probably at least gotten a point out of that game yesterday, and that's going to, I think, motivate them that much more here today going up against the Penguins.
Yeah, you always have motivation when you're facing Sidney Crosby, Malkin, and the Pittsburgh Penguins. I made the case in today's Flyers Daily that that game was one where, a lot of times we'd say they deserved a better fate, but I think they got the fate they got that was warranted. They just didn't put enough traffic around Igor Shesterkin yesterday. I think that was the big difference. And at this point in the year, it can't be about deserving a better fate. It's got to be about earning 2 points in the standings. And if you can earn 2 today in a back-to-back where Pittsburgh hasn't played since Thursday when they beat Montreal 4-1 at home, and keep 2 points away from them, you could be sitting there with one of the final maybe couple of nails to put in the Penguin 2023-24 coffin.
Yeah, certainly. It is a delicate situation in Pittsburgh right now, to say the least.
Delicate? Does that mean mess?
Yeah, pretty much. Flyers would love to put another nail in there at the very least. They come off a Rangers game where they handled the best team in the division pretty well. 5 posts for the Flyers in that game.
Wow.
And, again, it took a goal from Matt Rempe, of all people, to beat them. So, it was a good showing, I think, for the Flyers yesterday, just in the way they defended, against the Rangers' top players. But you're right. They're going to have to, they're going to have to be a team that generates more offense. And, again, right now the focus for this team had been transition offense, not necessarily skill offense. And there's going to get to a point here where the Flyers can't really improve as a team anymore past the current crop of talent that they have. And that's going to have a lot to do with, okay, does Owen Tippett, does he suddenly become a 40-goal scorer or a 40-goal scorer pace? Can one of these other guys maybe get to that? But, they're going to get to a point where they're as good as they can be with the current setup that they have. And that's a good thing, because that means the foundations of what John Tortorella and his coaching staff are trying to establish are showing up there. And, again, they'll just continue to build off of that.
One of the essentials I've been talking about, Brian, Flyers Daily, was, and we've talked about it quite a bit on pregame and intermissions and postgames, is the ability to control the top talent from the opposition. I want to limit the damage they can do and make teams beat me with their weakness. Yesterday, like you said, it's Matt Rempe who gets his first NHL goal. All 6'8", 250 pounds of him, just standing in front of Sam Ersson. But today you've got to deal with Crosby. No Jake Gensel, but Malkin, Carlson and Letang. And this team, and you want to limit the damage they can do. If you can continue to do that and force teams to have to beat you with their weakness, I think you're going to end up on the right side way more often than not.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's sort of becomes more of a luck thing when you're able to shut down the other team's top offensive threats. And again, with the way the Flyers had been going as of late, they'd had some difficulty with that, with Kucherovs and Bergerons and all that of the world. And those are guys they're going to have to face here quite a bit down the stretch. So the fact that they did that yesterday against the Panarins and Lafreniere actually did get a goal there, but again, that was a little bit of a weird situation. At 5-on-5, those guys were not able to generate much at all. So it's another day of trying to work at that. And, despite the Flyers not having Travis Konechny, which is certainly something that they hope doesn't last too long, they've got the defensive cornerstones of their game there, of course, and Sean Couturier, Noah Cates, Scott Lawton even. Lots of guys they can keep rolling out against these big names. And, it's just continuing to work at that and making sure that part of the game is solid as they get ready for a pretty good stretch run here.
The Pittsburgh Penguins come into this game in the 7th spot. Now, they've only played 54 games. Flyers played 58, so they have 4 games in hand. But the thing about the Penguins is they're plus 14 in goal differential. For example, the Islanders team just ahead of them in the standings is minus 28. That's 42 goal differential, which is an astounding number. And when you look at the Penguins kind of roster stat line, you see a lot of players in plus. And that's because they don't score a whole heck of a lot on the power play, slightly more than the Flyers, which isn't saying much, Smitty. Flyers are 31st at 13% on the season. Penguins 30th at 13.9. But can you explain to me how a team with Malkin, Crosby, Erik Karlsson, and Chris Letang is that inept on the power play?
I cannot. And again, if you're the Penguins, you point at that as perhaps the reason that this team is where they are right now. If you're going to go out,
it's not 2012.
maybe, yeah, it's 2024. It could be something to do with that. If you're going to go out and get Erik Karlsson, and you're not going to get contributions from him on the power play, then you're going to have a problem because he doesn't do very well at 5-on-5. He does have 41 points on the year, but 34 of those are assists. And then, I haven't looked at the breakdown exactly of what he is or isn't doing, but he has a +9, and usually Karlsson's plus minus is in green jacket territory. So because he does so much on the power play, so something is a little bit strange there with this team. But again, they're trying to figure out which way they're going to go at this point, especially as the deadline gets closer. Who's gonna stay, who's gonna go. I mean, obviously they're not gonna get rid of the big three anytime soon, but because those guys are there and they're so advanced in their age, we'll put it that way. They want to get younger, and you're gonna have to do so in other ways. So it's it is an interesting thing in Pittsburgh, and again with all the games they have in hand, they're not as far behind the Flyers as the current standings would suggest. They get 4 wins and they're at 66 points, 1 back of Philadelphia, but you have to they have to be wins first, and that's not always a guarantee.
A lot of guys on their roster with restrictions on their ability to move them, including Letang, including Karlsson and Crosby and Malkin. And Jeff Carter's got a 35+ no move clause.
Right.
So there's not a ton they can do, but other than Jake Gensel, who's on an expiring contract and should yield a pretty nice return. Let's talk about the Flyers today. No Travis Konechny again today. But they did make a recall. Danny Briere did recalling Ole Lycksell. I think he had 2 goals and 2 assists yesterday in Charlotte. Right?
He did, yeah. The Phantoms had a great game last night. Was it in Charlotte? I'm not sure where it was, but Bobby Brink also was a key contributor, winner, which is the good thing you want to see if you're a Flyers fan. So, with whatever cropped up with Konechny in practice on Friday, I forget the timing, but I believe Lycksell was already on his way back to Lehigh Valley, with the intention of him playing there this weekend. But obviously circumstances changed, and it's not like he went down yesterday, had a 4-point game, and the Flyers like, oh, let's call him back up. They all of a sudden we're short of forward, and they might have gone 12-6 yesterday if they'd had Lycksell in Philadelphia, but they didn't. So that was the necessary situation that they were in. So be good on him to get back up here and find another way to contribute. Obviously, he's going to be on the 4th line today, which is not where they want him permanently, but it's what you need to do for the current situation.
And he's playing with Scott Lawton, who, by the way, matched a career high point streak at 6 games. So I think that's a good place to put
Yeah.
him. And I like a guy who's coming up feeling pretty good about his game with 2 goals and 2 assists yesterday in the AHL, getting right back at it. Here are the Flyers line combinations. All you people, the 11 and 7 people, I don't like it either. You can get out of my mentions for a day, though, because they're running 12 and 6. 1,000 mentions about the 11 and 7 to me in the last 48 hours. But Frost, Forster, and Tippett on the top line, Couturier, Farabee, and Atkinson, Paling, Cates, and Hathaway, Lawton, Delarier, and Lixell. Right, we need to see more out of Cam Atkinson.
Yeah.
He needs to get going again.
Yeah, he's again, he's been hot and cold this year. He's a guy that certainly has got probably his best days behind him, but I think he still has a lot more to give in the way his career's going here. So I'm sure if there's one person that you would ask and who's not happy with the year he's had to this point, it's Cam Atkinson. But just like a power play, you mentioned the Flyers power play, where it is. It's the time of the year where it doesn't really matter where your power play was. It matters how your power play is doing now. And since sometime in mid-January, the Flyers are in the middle of the pack in the league. So that's what's important on here on out, is it improves.
% over their last 24.
Yeah, so that's not as bad as it was. Same thing with Cam Atkinson. Forget what's happened earlier this season. Let's start scratch right. Make it today. Why not? And just start plowing forward from here on out. And again, the past is in the past. It doesn't matter.
Deep pairs, York and Sanheim, Sealer and Walker, Stahl and Drysdale, Yegor Zamula comes out. Cal Peterson gets the start in net for the Flyers. It's Flyers Penguins. Stay tuned. We've got Tim Saunders, Todd Fedoruk. They're on hand at PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh. Still call that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
I had to think about that for a moment. Yes, is.
It is Flyers Penguins, the second of back-to-back matinee Metropolitan Division matchups. You've been listening to Flyers Game Day on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network.